Corporate, education and government customers are telling us that cyber is one of their key selection criteria for new products. So we've built Muse based on military-grade security, running our award-winning secure Linux OS, and supporting some of the key IT security technologies that these customers demand. David's going to take us through some of the features of Muse as they relate to security.
Thanks, Grant. So the first thing I'm going to do is just log into the Muse controller's webpage. The first time you do this, you're prompted to change the password. This is actually a security policy enforced because it prevents default usernames and passwords being left on the device, which is a common occurrence, unfortunately, in the AV environment. The reason you want to do that is to prevent people being able to go to download a free manual off a website and then suddenly they can log into your device on your network. Some of the security considerations that have been built into Muse include things like 802.1x authentication. So we have the ability to authenticate the device with the network switch. We have multiple authentication methods to choose from, including MD5 username password, TLS for secure certificate authentication, as well as TTLS. We also have a whole bunch of policies related to passwords themselves. So we have the ability to enforce password expiration after a certain amount of time, the ability to mandate complex or high complexity passwords, such as long passwords with multiple alphanumeric characters, numeric characters, and special characters, as well as locking out the controller after a particular number of failed attempts. All of these things serve to prevent attacks from bots. So we have a bot that is trying to gain access to the device and is just spamming it with thousands, potentially millions of passwords over and over again. By enforcing these things like password expiration, password complexity, and lockout, you can reduce or eliminate the ability to have a brute force attack vulnerability on the Muse controller. We have the ability to disable different types of access to the device as well. So if you're a client that doesn't want HTTP access, you can just turn that off and only allow secure HTTP access. You can even disable that if you don't want to allow web access as well. We no longer support Telnet in the AMX environment. We only support SSH. Telnet is no longer secure, so SSH is how we are able to connect to the command line interface. We have the ability to connect via USB-C as well, but we can turn that off as well. So having that physical connection is a lot more secure as well, because it means you have to be on site to connect to the device. You can't just access a device through the network. But we can turn that off if we want to be ultra secure. And the ability to even disable the ability to update the program. So this means that once a program's loaded onto the controller, you can prevent someone from just coming along and loading a new program onto that controller. We also have certificate authentication. This allows the Muse controller to have certificates uploaded into its trust store to allow it to then access secure services on the web, the same way a web browser would access a web server using trusted certificates. And finally, we have role and user-based security. So we have the ability to set up groups which have different levels of security or authentication access, as well as assigning users to those groups that have different levels of permissions.
Thanks, David. So with Muse, we have an incredibly secure hardware platform, but the reality is AV code can be vulnerable to cyber threats also. Recent hacks are creating an increased requirement by clients for auditing of code. Proprietary languages cannot be audited by security specialists. One large government client actually requires auditing of code for any appliance on their network, which is just not possible with previous generations of AV control platforms. So with Muse, we have an incredibly secure hardware and software platform that will meet the requirements of the most demanding IT clients across corporate, education, and government markets.